There are all different types of ways that you could potentially add value, millions of ways built into your personality, but there's one way that you are most likely to be perceived as intensely valuable, irreplaceable. And once you identify that and you articulate that, that's when you could really start to make a difference. But it begins with having the information that you need on yourself, and it's not through the lens of how you see the world. Here's what high performers do differently. They're admired for a noteworthy ability to contribute a specific benefit. So they have a specific signature strength. There's something that they do differently than everybody else. They don't try to be all things to all people. They try to be extraordinary in one way. If you try to be all things to all people, you end up being nothing to anyone. Next, they're worth more than they're being paid. If you're only worth what you're being paid, you're not adding value. You're just showing up. Next, they over-deliver in one particular area. So they don't try to be good at everything. They try to be really exceptional in one area. So what is that one area? I want you to think about yourself. What is that one area where you are naturally suited to over-deliver? And this isn't about a skill. This is not about what you do. This is related to who you are. What you do is a commodity. Who you are is distinctly valuable. So once you can measure how the world sees you and articulate that in a way that adds value to your customers and to others, this is how you become a high performer. And finally, people who are high performers don't have to compete on the basis of price. Just like great products that add value don't have to compete on the basis of price to have referrals and loyalty and to grow and to scale, if you understand your highest value, you don't have to compete on the basis of price either, because you're not a commodity. But the key is, if you don't know your own value, don't expect anyone else to. It's not your customer's job to know how you add value. It's not your client's job. It's not your manager's job. It's not your HR department's job to know how you add value. It's your job. And if you don't know your own differences, don't expect anybody else to. Harvard Business Review, great study, 100,000 decision makers in B2B. They said, what actually, these days, in today's economy, what shapes your decision? They thought that it was going to be price, quality, service features, the standard old ways of marketing a transaction, price, quality, service features. And they found that instead there's a new factor, and it's based on the skills of the salesperson. In other words, price, quality, and service features still matter, but they're not the single most important part. If you have salespeople who understand how they are most likely to add distinct value, then you really have an opportunity of transcending parity. You're no longer a commodity. You can add something distinct. You don't have to change who you are. You have to become more of who you are. And it begins with understanding who you are at your best. The greatest value that you can add is to become more of yourself.